Welcome to Live at the Blue Box. It's now time for Binge-worthy. Tonight we're doing a Binge-worthy throwback. So here's how it works, for those of you that don't know. Basically, I guess the name says it all. We binge a show. It's not always TV shows. We've done podcasts. We've done other things. This time it's a TV show, but we're doing a throwback. We're going back to an older show rather than doing something like new on Netflix. This week, we're doing Seinfeld.
Yes, we are.
New on Netflix from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So
26 years ago, actually.
let's introduce ourselves before we get into it, and then we're going to decide whether it's binge-worthy or not and what we think about it. So let's start right
Hello.
here. You are?
Oh, I'm Martha Southgate, co-owner of Southgate Media Group.
Yes, and I'm Rob Southgate, the other co-owner, and
I'm Chris Mao, not a co-owner of Southgate Media Group, but co-owner of Blue Box Cafe.
And before we get started, I didn't say this on This Week in Geek. I do want to say it here. People watching at home, people listening at home, you in the audience, if you want to reach us, you can email us or tweet us. The Twitter for our company is at SMG Pods. We're also on Facebook, as you know. And also for email, just email southgatemediagroup@gmail.com. It's a way to contact us. It goes right to me typically. But I can share it with Chris or Martha if you've got a comment. If you have an idea for a binge-worthy, something you would like to hear us talk about or want to torture us with, send it in. And also for some of the other things like Pop Culture Countdown, if you have an idea, send it in.
Sure.
We'd love to hear it. Or if you disagree with us.
Thank you.
We just had a disagreement break out. One of the Blue Box staff said I was wrong about F is for Family, said it gets really good. So,
Which one?
I don't know.
Which F is for family?
Cam?
No.
Which family? No.
Yeah.
So, all right.
You're trusting a 20-year-old, a
Yes.
20-year-old, so yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
that's probably who it was written for.
Absolutely.
Just may not be for us.
All right. Let's jump into Seinfeld.
All right.
So you usually have some facts or things.
Some factoids.
Let's hear them.
It was created by Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, and we are huge Larry David fans because of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Did you love
Yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Yeah, oh, yeah. We've talked about that, yes.
It was first aired July 5th, 1989, and it went until May 14th of 1998. 9 seasons, 180 episodes.
180. I didn't realize it was that many.
And it starred Jerry Seinfeld, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Michael Richards, and Jason Alexander. And in 2002, TV Guide named it the greatest television program of all time. I would now say Breaking Bad has surpassed.
You know what?
I would say it's in the team picture.
Yeah.
If you had a photo.
I would maybe one of the best sitcoms.
Yeah, I think it's tough when you get down to what is the absolute best.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
But, boy.
Because, are you going to truthfully top All in the Family as a show? You sit there and look, and of its generation, it's probably the best. Mm-hmm. And it's if you had a picture of all the best ones, I think it's your flavor.
I think that when you get into what's best, it's like when we do Pop Culture Countdown, how we come to the top 3 and it's always torture. How do you say what the best is? Breking Bad, you could argue is the best, but you could say Fargo is. You could say, these are really
amazing.
outstanding.
Second season Fargo.
And see, I even hesitate to call it a sitcom. It's a TV comedy. It's got to be in the top 5 easily.
Oh, yeah.
You don't call this a sitcom?
Well, I don't know.
That's exactly what it is. It's a 22-minute situation
it's
comedy.
A situation.
What else is there?
It's almost the definition of a sitcom.
It is, exactly.
When I think of sitcom, I think of things like Family Matters. That's a sitcom.
So why wouldn't this be?
Because it's an elevated version of it. How dare you, Mom? It's an elevated version, but you know what? It's a sitcom.
Again, it's all about the
Thank
criteria.
you.
So,
but when I think about them, this kind of transcends it. Mm-hmm. So we binged some this week.
Okay, wait, but we need to say something here.
Yeah.
Because Seinfeld, this was really groundbreaking.
Yes.
At the time, nobody acted like that. Nobody talked like that. Nobody said these things out loud.
Right.
Nobody ate out of the garbage on TV, or talked about toilet paper for 22 minutes.
Do we dedicate an entire show about masturbation?
Yeah.
Right.
It couldn't spare a square episode.
Right.
There were things that happened in this series that had never been talked about before, or just the acting. When I think of when we watch Difficult People now, and I think it's
this.
some
Right.
like going back and watching Seinfeld again. I'm like,
It
oh
could never
my
happen.
gosh.
Difficult People would never happen.
It would never have happened without
Well,
them.
no, Absolutely Fabulous was before it. It's along the similar vein, but
Yeah.
it is really, as much as you love these characters, they are pretty much some of the most despicable people on the
Yes.
planet.
Oh, my gosh.
And you love them, and you're like, this is great. And
Well, sadly, they are us.
Yes.
yes,
So like we're watching it today, and we finally realized we're like,
so you're
this
Newman,
is kind
that
of
what
our
you're saying?
podcast network.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's us.
Like it's not that we're despicable, but just the way they like look at the world and
Sure.
everything, and their conversations. I'm like, I think we've had these same conversations.
Right.
Well, and like we were watching one today where
And Martha has been mistaken for special needs before.
yes,
so
that actually did happen
Do
to
you
me.
dance?
But
Do you do that?
no,
Is that your dancing?
and my friend worked with, and she was like, "You tell me you weren't wearing the backpack," and I was like, "Okay, I was wearing the back."
she had the Kramer shoes on and everything.
It was difficult, but anyway, but Jason Alexander in one of the episodes we watched today. Got a job offer because he had gone into the interview with a cane, and they thought he was
Yes.
handicapped, and he ended up totally lying and faking it and then they gave him a scooter,
Right.
and he's chasing down he's fighting with elderly people on
As
scooters.
bad as everyone
I mean,
is, he is single-handedly the most despicable
unbelievable.
person on. Yes,
he's horrible.
horrendous.
So
We don't. George
Yes,
is
so
horrible.
Read the whole thing
Recently-
with, was it Linda, the girl he gets engaged to? That
Yes.
I mean,
Susan.
Sorry.
Susan,
I can't remember
Yeah.
yesterday.
the one
let
who,
alone names, but
spoiler, she dies from the
From licking
from
envelopes.
licking the envelopes.
The
It was
envelopes that
toxic.
were made in China.
Yeah.
They were made in. Yeah, it was great.
But there was something about this when we watched it when it first aired, and we watched the first season, and we were like, "Oh, what is this?" I mean,
Right.
it was just it just didn't.
Well, we've talked about this a little bit
Mesh
before.
with
I think on
anything we'd
This
ever
Week in
seen.
Geek. The first year, it was very sketchy.
Yeah.
It was groundbreaking because he kind of did he did a couple of jokes like from his stand-up
Yeah.
routine, and then did the situational comedy part about it.
Right.
It was relevant because it's about his life.
Yes.
Or it's him and Larry David's life. But, it's about his life and what he does. And then, by the end, you just wanted to see what these characters were. I mean, Elaine and Kramer and George's full stories didn't even really come out till like season number,
Right.
like late in season 2.
Right.
They were just his
They were
friends.
just
They were just
characters.
there.
They were characters,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, well, Kramer was supposed to just be a secondary type character that was popping in.
And he was
Oh,
fantastic.
but he
Yeah.
stole
Richards
the
was
show.
fantastic,
I mean,
yeah.
he is unbelievable. When
Yeah.
we watched the one where he rubbed himself in butter.
Yeah.
And then he got sunburned, and Newman tried to eat him.
Yes.
I mean, it's just.
What did he say? He basted himself?
Oh,
I basted
my
myself.
gosh.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, we just can't even. Yeah, and
Think about the impact in terms of things that you say even now, 25 years later, 26 years
Yeah.
later, 27 years later, whatever it is.
who'd somebody do the math? 1998 till
yeah.
now.
We were
27.
talking because we showed Molly a bunch of episodes, okay, and she's 8, and we obviously didn't watch the contest, but we're
No.
watching
out.
Yeah.
we're watching it
First
and I finally
seconds.
turned to her. I go, are you now seeing how many things we say?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we
that
quote
are from
it
this.
daily.
And she's like, I've never heard you say. I forget what the one was that they
Oh, the
said.
big
The big
salad.
salad.
The
And
big
I'm like,
salad.
you haven't heard it, but we have talked about
They have
getting
a big salad?
When we order the big salad,
salad.
and
Yeah.
it's because of Elaine.
Yeah.
There are so many. The Two-Face we say all the time.
Two-Face
Yes.
and the
Festivus.
couldn't spare a
Festivus.
square, like I said earlier. Festivus for the rest of us.
Well,
and
the whole thing, the things that came
Airing
out
of
with
grievances.
airing of grievances. Muffin tops. I mean, think
Oh,
about
yeah.
the whole thing with muffin tops where they did that.
Top
Yes.
of the muffin.
Top of the muffin. I just want the top, and they're like, what
and
do
then
you
they
mean?
couldn't get rid of the bags full of stumps.
Right. They tried to give them away to people that were needed food. Oh no, we want
Or
the
they don't
muffin
want
tops.
it. Yeah, who doesn't want? Who
I
wants
mean,
the
the
butt?
soup
Yeah.
Nazi. No soup
Yeah.
for you.
Yes.
Who still doesn't talk about the soup Nazi?
Exactly.
Right.
No soup for you.
The
Well, I
urban-
mean,
How
and
many
you say
times
it.
a day do you say it?
oh yeah, I say it
people,
all the time.
no soup for you.
you. Those whole spin-off characters that they had.
And
that
they
made
were
it.
the first ones to truly do a show about nothing, because they had a show called Parking Lot, and then the entire
We're the
22
current
minutes
ones doing a show
they
about
were
nothing.
wandering around in a parking lot just trying to find their car.
Edward just did one.
Yeah.
Show about nothing.
Well, and we actually, We actually say that one. I say it all the time about having uromycetitis.
Yes.
It's from that episode.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing, we're talking about nothing.
Yes.
And literally, when you look at 9 years of, there is no topic. It's just them kind of doing nothing.
They go to a Chinese restaurant.
Is it the waiting room where they're waiting to go into the
Chinese restaurant?
It's unbelievable.
And they just stand there, and the entire time is them standing.
They call it
waiting to get into
counterculture
a
now.
China.
That's what we call
I know.
counterculture.
Right.
See, but see,
That
we
one has
wouldn't
the best.
exist without Seinfeld.
Yes.
Because
That one has the best. They go through that whole thing, and the very last thing, they walk out. They've had enough.
and then they call their name.
Seinfeld, Seven for
It's
Four.
like Bennis or whatever. Yeah, they call their
Yes.
last name.
But,
So, in the last, this is funny because in the last couple months, I have heard both Jerry and Larry David interviewed on Howard Stern.
You saw you
Well, they
listened
were-
to Howard.
They were on Howard Stern, and
who does?
well,
David or Jerry Seinfeld?
Jerry has a show on. Is it on Crackle? It's called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Right.
And it's really good. It's a really good show. That's one that you end up falling into and you binge through. But it's interesting. He was getting interviewed, and the things Jerry was talking about the show, and he was talking about how it started. You know, one of the things, and Larry too. One of the things he said, they weren't together, by the way. Mm-hmm. One of the things he said was, you know, so he's doing a stand-up comedy, and he said everyone's getting shows, right? And he said, this is how he really is. He's like, why don't I have a show? I should have a show.
Right.
So he said other people are like falling over themselves to get a meeting and to get their show. And he said he starts working to get the meeting, right? I'm going to get a meeting. He gets a meeting with NBC. He doesn't go. Howard's like, what? And he goes, the way I think, my goal was to get the meeting. They're not going to give me a show.
Right.
And he said, he tells Larry. Larry's like, of course. You're not going to get the show. Why would you go to the meeting?
Oh, that's awesome.
Larry.
Them being themselves,
Yeah,
which they
yeah,
have
totally.
an entire
Exactly.
show about them.
Larry completely reiterated the fact that he's like, yes, he goes, I know everyone says it, but George is based on me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he goes, I know, he goes, the worst part is the most despicable parts of
Yeah.
George
Oh,
are
sure.
what are
Yeah,
based
yes.
on me.
Well, that's
And
Curb Your
George is-
Enthusiasm.
It is totally
it's
Curb Your
totally him.
Enthusiasm.
And
Yeah.
that whole
Yeah.
season of Curb that was the Seinfeld show
Yeah.
was amazing.
was amazing,
It was.
and it was
It was him.
him.
Well, and I heard Jeff Garlin has a podcast, which he doesn't do very often.
Mm-hmm.
The very first one he did, it's called In Conversation with Jeff Garlin. If you like Jeff Garlin, if you like Seinfeld, listen to this, at least the first episode where he interviews Larry David. One of the things he says right away is, because he worked on Curb with Larry,
Yes.
and he says, for you that watch the show, that is Larry. And Larry's like, it's an exaggerated. He's like,
Oh no.
it's a
I mean, you watch
toned down
anything with
version
him.
of
Yeah.
Larry.
Yeah.
Like Larry at that point had never used a camera, and he started getting upset because Garland's like, you've never taken a picture. He's like, cameras are stupid. I would never take a picture. He gets all upset, and then he finally he's like, and Garland takes pictures all the time.
Right.
He loves taking. He's like, I take pictures on the set. I take pictures, and finally he forces Larry to take a picture. He's like, the first time in Larry's life he has ever touched a camera and taken a picture was right there, and he's like, this is Larry. He goes, He never knows anything. He doesn't know what the internet is. He gets angry at everything. And Larry's like, no, I'm not really like that.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he said when he bases George on him, it's true.
Oh, I'm sure.
He talked about Kenny Kramer is who Kramer is based on. It was a friend of Larry's.
Right.
Who is...
The
he
neighbor.
goes,
It was his next door neighbor.
yeah. And he said it was much closer to the Kramer on the show than you would ever imagine.
Well, I'm sure. The guy that just is the whack job.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
He goes, you
shows
think he's
up
the
and-
wacky neighbor? He's actually
When
that
he
guy.
put the garbage disposal in his shower,
Yes.
and
Oh
I'm
my
sitting there
gosh.
watching it going, this is kind of brilliant. Who doesn't want to eat in their shower? No, I'm just kidding.
No, but the things he comes up with, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of. I mean, I don't say like we were talking about is like these guys were all secondary and became household names.
Yeah.
I mean, and Richards did such a great job. I mean, the shows that they dedicated to him because they would give him one or two a season, like the Merv Griffin thing,
Oh
where he
my
sets up
gosh.
a
Mel
talk
Torme.
show.
That is one of my favorite
Mel
talk
Torme.
show in his living room. It's
Oh,
like, hey,
that
invite
one, yeah.
people. Yes,
That is one of my favorite things of all time on TV.
Okay, no, the
When he-
jumping shoes.
When he
Right.
garbage picks the set from Merv Griffin.
Yes.
Right.
And then every time they come over, he's sitting there like it's the show.
And invite people, hey, sit down, let's
Hey,
talk.
why don't you have a seat?
Plays a little
And
applause.
he's got the music, and then he's got like some like a cigarette thing and that out, and he's like had some drinks for him.
But
That is the funniest thing ever. Like, to me, that just kills me.
when he's got those, when he gets those jumping shoes, and then he goes with Mel Torme, and they put him at the head table for the benefit.
Yes.
And he gets punched in the mouth, and he's like, oh my God, I die, and it's he's brilliant. The Kenny Rogers,
Yeah, the
But
Roasters.
that episode is also one that we say all the time, because that's the one with Kenny. When Kenny talks about himself in the third person all the time.
No, Jimmy.
And then George
Jimmy
George
doesn't
likes his
like
chicken
that.
spicy. We
Yeah.
say that all the time. We're eating something, we're like, Rob likes his chicken spicy.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, George.
we didn't even get to, we were binging this thing out.
Right.
But there's 9 seasons, so you can't really sit in over 2 days and watch them. But as you're looking through the titles, you're just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Like, we didn't
I
even
have 'em
get
right here.
to Mr. Pitt. And the Mr.
Right.
Pitt episodes are...
Oh, we did. Molly and I did.
Did you? Did you guys get to the one when he's cutting his Hershey or his Snickers bar,
Snickers
and
bar.
then everybody starts cutting up with the knife and the fork? Unbelievable.
We didn't see that one.
Well, and all these other people
On
like
this
Jay
today.
Peterman, who they bring in,
Peterman.
Fantastic.
When he was in Burma,
Yes.
and she goes to find because she needs him to sign off on the sable hat.
Right. The urban sombrero.
Oh, and then he's like, she goes, that was the cover, and he's going, oh my gosh, this is awful.
It's the urban sombrero.
Sombrero.
But she was
So I
just
guess
writing.
it is a sitcom because there are just
It is.
situations,
Oh, sure.
but it transcends it. It's not like most sitcoms. This is where the definition is in my head. Okay, most sitcoms, you see the same situation playing out over and
Right.
over and over. Full House, it's the same story every time.
Right.
With
Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard's not really a comedy, but it's the same story every episode. It's a situation. I don't know.
It's a dramedy.
But Seinfeld, think about it. Everything we're talking about, yes, the characters are the situational
Sure.
thing, but they're also drastically different.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
lost in a parking garage.
Oh, yeah.
They're at a bris. And
Oh my gosh.
but it's so different than the last.
Right.
The urban sombrero.
But George, the friends have a baby. George spends the entire time looking out the window, going, "Look at my good parking space. Do you want to look at my parking?" They just are. Maybe the baby. Yeah, the baby should look at my parking space,
That's
and then the guy jumps off the roof right onto his car. But they. Every single thing is, it's just truly about nothing, but they're just, they say out loud what a lot of people think. And so,
Which I don't know if that's good or bad, because if we're thinking that, we're in big trouble.
We're all in society's doomed.
But I agree.
Yeah.
It brings out.
yeah.
I think it brought out the bad traits of people.
Yeah.
It made it acceptable to have bad traits without being
Yes.
a complete jerk. It's like, yeah, I do. Hey, I got the great parking spot because that's what people talk about, especially when you get older. What do you talk
Wait,
about? It's
Peg,
like,
is
I
that
got
what you
parking,
guys
I'm
talk
right up
about?
there.
What's
Well, no,
dad-
but
my dad
I'm
right
saying
now
for-
is thinking about his parking spot.
And I'm talking about myself. It's like,
Right.
yeah, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I parked wherever. I walked 3 miles to get here. Now it's like, I don't want to go in there if I don't get to park right in front. Right. Well, not even the best. You just wanted to make it convenient. Like, oh, look what I did. It's like, yeah, no.
And Bubble Boy,
Bubble Boy.
and they
We
get
make
in a
that
fight.
reference
Right.
here at the Blue Box.
We did, yes.
When we're playing Trivia
The
Mayhem,
Moops.
we say the Moops.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's from Bubble Boy. It says the Moops. You lose. I
Yeah,
love that.
It's just, unbelievable.
So, do we like the show or not?
I
Just
think
saying,
we like
Holy
it a little
cow.
bit.
Well, and I saw a list. It had the I think it was it might have been AV Club or Paste. One of them
Yeah, one of them has it.
ranked every episode worst to best, and the contest was number 1 in there. But when I was looking through it, really the bottom 6, they should be the bottom 6. It was the first season.
Right.
After that, each like number 94, I went, oh, that one is so amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's
That is a
really
real
not a
testament to
bad
this
one.
show.
Yeah. And when Poppy pees on his couch and
Poppy.
or the car when they couldn't get the smell out of the car.
Okay, I have a story that's similar to that. So I was working when we moved to Minnesota. I had worked for a futon place, and the first 2 weeks we're there. I got to go work at the state fair. That's a really big deal in Minnesota. Is the state fair? Minnesota knows, and I had to work it. So we've got the futon set up, and it's just so we can demo them. And they say you're not really going to sell anything, but you're demoing them. So while we're in there, they had us on an inside thing. I'm sure it's like a pig house or something when it's not the state fair because it smelled. But it started to rain, and it got super humid. So, standing inside, everybody's glasses completely fogged up, and it was like all the oxygen sucked out of the room. And this woman comes in. She walks up, and she goes, she looked like Elaine after the steam. She's like, her mascara is down, her hair is all done. She goes, oh. And I saw her, and I was like, hey, do you want to sit down? I mean, we've got these couches. She goes, yeah. And I said, you can just take a load off. Come sit. She goes, oh. She comes in, she sits down, and it's just like Poppy. All right? She's sitting there for 15 minutes. Finally, she goes, much better. Thanks a lot. She gets up, and there's a stain on this futon that is unbelievable, right? Now, and we all kind of laugh about wow, holy cow, she was sweating. Okay? Cut to 5 hours later, one of the husbands of one of us that was working there walks up, and he goes, hey, what happened to the futon? We'd all forgotten about it. The stain was still there. Ooh. They had to take we had to take the cover off, and they were they went to wash it, and they're like, we can't even get it out. They threw the cover out because of this woman who left this stain. It was a Poppy moment. Unbelievable. And I married her. What? No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
No, Martha has plenty of other Seinfeld moments.
Not that one.
No, not that one.
I have Kramer moments.
You buttered yourself and then suntanned?
The suntan.
Just
I
about.
myself.
Yeah,
when he looks like a turkey and he waves, hey. How about Newman?
Fusilli Jerry.
Fusilli Jerry. Newman.
Yeah, Newman is awesome.
Newman, when we watched the one today where Jerry went into Newman's apartment, and he's like, I'm getting the hives just walking into your apartment. This is horrible.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Jerry. It's the one where Jerry was dating a girl that he found out had dated Newman, and he's so
And Newman
repulsed.
broke up with her.
Yeah.
And he's like, why would Newman break? Newman doesn't break up with anybody.
And she was very attractive.
And she was so cute. And she was
Jerry
really
couldn't
nice.
stop, and then she's like, why are you looking at me? He's like, no reason. He's like, she goes, kiss me. He's like, I can't. Newman.
Oh,
it's
So
unbelievable.
wrong.
And then we also saw one that had the George Steinbrenner. Now, Larry David did the voice of George Steinbrenner.
Yes.
So once you know that, you totally...
He didn't just do the voice. He was sitting there.
Was that actually him sitting there?
Yeah, he sits there, yeah.
Because the voiceover doesn't match the motions.
Oh, it's so
which
funny.
Is amazing. And that had the one where he's like, George is sitting there and he's like, George likes his chicken spicy. And George Steinbrenner goes, George does like his chicken spicy. Let's see what George has for lunch now. And it just became him talking in the third person. I loved it.
When
Jimmy Holds a Revenge.
Yes, Jimmy. Oh. When George wanted to name his child Seven, and then their friends named their baby Seven, and they spend the entire episode just irate over, just the stupidest things. And they would get so mad.
That sounds nothing like us.
I know. Elaine wanted to get she ate horrible sub sandwiches to get the free sub, and accidentally wrote her phone number on the card, and so then she had to try to get the guy to go back out with her. All of these things for this awful sub just to get the free sandwich.
The guy in that one that he wore a Canadian tuxedo. It was all denim with a denim vest and denim everything.
It was the guy from
Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall. Yeah,
yeah it was Mark.
Candy.
Or I can't remember which
Candy.
one it is.
What's that movie?
Hard Candy.
No, the one Lauren Michaels.
Brain Candy.
Brain Candy. He was in that.
Yeah, of course he was, because that's a Kids in the Hall movie. See, you just said it was Kids in the Hall. Yeah.
There's a difference between the movie and the show.
I squish your head.
It's the same people.
I know.
It's the same people.
Different project.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair.
So I think we know where we're going to
Okay,
fall
wait.
on
We
this.
did not talk about one of our favorite characters and one we named another cat after.
All right.
David Puddy.
Oh, Putty.
Putty is amazing.
The
He's
face
still
painter.
milking Putty. Did that car commercial
Yes.
I'm like,
He is hysterical as
what do you
Puddy.
mean that's hysterical?
He's great.
Yeah, I'm
though.
a face
He does
painter.
all the voiceover work.
Yeah. Well,
And
he's
he
a
was the-
talented guy.
And
so.
he's the Tick. And I think it's is it Netflix or Amazon is bringing the Tick series back.
Yes.
With him, from what I hear.
Woo!
He
Yeah.
was so great on the Tick with Batman. There's nothing better.
Well, he is so funny on the show.
Oh, my gosh.
And their relationship, their
That's right, Jerry, I'm a face
chemistry.
painter.
But him and Elaine's chemistry is brilliant.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
when they went to Europe together, and then they were coming home from. They had gone to Norway
Yeah.
last, and they're coming home. They break up, and then they keep breaking up and making up on the plane, and they are so funny.
He's the
So
perfect.
funny.
Well, that was something about that show.
Yeah.
They knew how to cast a
Yeah.
show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about every main character. There is nobody that's like. I mean, Jerry Stiller.
Right.
Oh, my
George's
gosh.
dad,
The
yes.
weakest
watched-
one is Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, but not by the end. He actually got better.
No,
by
but-
the end.
but
in
if
the
you
beginning, he was the
even
weakest
still-
actor.
He's
definitely
he's the
the-
orchestra. He is the guy who just all this craziness
the-
happens around him.
Yeah,
so.
he's
almost the straight man.
guy. Yeah, Mhm.
Which is funny
Wait,
because
that didn't come
he's
out.
not-
Straight man. Not
he
straight
has
guy.
so many funny lines, but he really is kind of the straight man to this
Yeah.
insanity.
But they pull out. I mean, he had some really, really good singers
yeah.
in there. The Man Hands one where he
Oh
just
my
could do
gosh,
it,
Man
and the one where
Hands.
they're the one where they're finding he can't remember the name of it. The girl
Want
that he
something
dated.
to open that lobster with?
Yes.
Oh, how'd you touch his
the
face?
whole thing with Dolores is that the voice? Is that the name?
Dolores.
Where he
Yeah.
couldn't think of the name of the girl.
Yes.
Oh,
Dolores!
Dolores. He goes, my name is
Oh my
rhymes with
gosh. Oh, so rhymes with a female body part.
female body part. Yes.
The oh my gosh, yes.
As it's fading to black. Oh, Dolores.
When George was a man, a hand model,
Yes.
and then he
He
that
grabbed
was
the iron.
puffy shirt.
That's the
That
puffy
was
shirt.
the-
And she's the quiet talker, too. Remember?
Oh my
Yes.
gosh,
She talks like this.
Yes.
What?
the low talker.
Yeah, and
and
then-
we talk about low talkers. All, like
and then-
that's once again, you never
Right.
had a name. It never had a thing before.
Right,
Like
and then
it was
George is
not
like-
something that was labeled.
George says to Jerry, you agreed to go and talk on the show, on the Tonight Show with her and talk about the pirate shirt? He's like, what? I couldn't hear her. I didn't know
Yeah.
what was going on.
He's like, I just agreed to whatever.
And he had to go on with the pirate shirt, the puffy
The
shirt.
puffy
The
shirt.
puffy shirt.
Oh, my
gosh.
God.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
it was,
puffy shirt.
You know, especially for I think our age group, that is the wheelhouse of TV, right?
Yes.
I mean, that is the TV show
Well-
that everybody watched.
Well, and if
so-
you
I
look
wonder-
at Parks and Rec and all the shows that all
They're really
the
kinda
ensemble
based on
cast
this.
shows, they're all a lot of that language and a lot of that.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know if there was an issue.
sorry.
A lot of that
Shiny
stuff
object.
is from. Is because this show was a pioneer
Right.
in
Sure.
that
Well, it changed
ensemble.
the face of comedy because, like we said, it was okay to be completely despicable.
Yeah.
I mean, there were despicable people. You want to say like Jack Benny had some despicable things.
Yes.
He was so tame.
He was the
compared to this.
prototype, though. He was
Yes.
the first to really play the despicable lead character.
Right.
You know, I was worried when we said we were going to do this. As much as, you know, we love the show and everything, I was worried that going back and binging it, that it might feel dated.
Oh no.
Oh no, it does not.
I thought you know, maybe we've seen it enough. It's like The Simpsons. We loved The Simpsons. You
Right.
go back and watch the early ones; they're still funny, but they are a little dated because we've seen them so much. I thought Seinfeld might be the same way. I'm here to tell you,
It's not that they're dated, The Simpsons. It's that they
tired.
don't. Yeah, they don't hold up.
But
This held up.
Well, no, The Simpsons do hold up if you watch those early seasons,
Right.
But they
there's
don't
a difference
feel
between
this.
dated and
Well,
This was amazing.
yeah.
The Simpsons kicks it to death.
Yeah.
Like it's like beating a dead horse.
Right.
I mean, they
It
use
took
the
like
same
12
joke.
seasons for it to
Right.
beat it, but once it hits it, it's like
And I think we addressed it. Seinfeld was a different despicable thing that happened. They didn't really rehash stuff,
No.
although they used lines a lot. You
Right.
know, they didn't.
well, they played the jokes, but they did not rehash
Right.
ideas.
I mean, every time they
And-
brought the soup Nazi back, it was relevant and in
Yes.
character. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to bring the soup Nazi. Oh, we're going to have Putty. Oh, we're going to have
Well,
this. I mean,
They
Putty
didn't
was
do
despicable.
it because it was funny
Right.
and then just keep going, ay caramba. I
This
mean,
is
it
the
was
other
like,
thing
oh,
we
I
saw.
go, yeah.
when we were looking at it you watched it on Hulu or was it Netflix?
Molly, what did we watch it on? Hulu.
So we're watching it on Hulu, and it's got the different seasons, and we're looking through. I didn't realize this, the 9th season, the final season, and every episode I'm like, that's an amazing one.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
an amazing
The
one.
bro.
There wasn't even
When they
there wasn't
the
a
man's
clunker.
ear.
And the fact that it's the 9th season,
Yeah.
they're leading to the end, and even the next to last is a classic. That is incredible. That's really
that
going
makes up-
out.
Larry David left at the end of season 7, so
Yes.
he was not the executive producer for 8 or 9. And I thought 8 kind of lacked in
But
substance.
watch it now, and it doesn't.
No,
No,
it
it
doesn't.
doesn't,
But
yeah.
8 was a little bit sketchier. 6 and 7 were primetime wheelhouse with all these great shows, and then 8 was okay.
Well,
was
8
good.
had Bizarro Jerry.
Yeah, they had good
and
episodes. I mean, but when
the
you have
chicken roaster.
when you have 25 episodes, you're going to have some good ones. But 9 was amazing.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
the ending, which people hated,
Oh.
I thought was so apropos.
Now,
They're like,
let's-
we hate each other. We're
Wait a
going to break
minute.
up.
Let's talk about
Wait,
that ending for a
though.
second. Yeah.
No, real quick, because since we got season 8, we got the yada yada.
Yeah,
That
Yada,
was
yada,
brilliant. Because in everything is like,
And
how
yada,
do
yada,
you
yada.
yada yada that? I'm not going to go
Yeah.
into what they yada yada, but in
Yada,
the
yada,
summer of
yada.
George.
Yes.
I mean, seriously.
Summer of George.
It's the summer of George.
again,
And the
something
Muffin
we say all
Tops
the
was
time.
that one. And
They opened stores off of this. That's
Yes.
how insane it is.
Yes.
Like, we're going to have a muffin top store. And I remember
Yep.
thinking that would be a great idea to have a muffin top store.
Yep.
Somebody did.
so what were you going to say about the finale?
Well, I want to talk about the finale as kind of the end here.
Mm-hmm.
This is an episode that's controversial. A lot of people did. You guys all know Seinfeld. Did you like the final episode?
Does anyone remember the final episode?
Yeah, they're sitting in
Yes.
jail. They were arrested basically for being despicable. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people hate that episode. Like, I'll read things where they're like, the show was great until the last episode. I happen to think the last episode is hilarious. I think it ends just fine with the 4 of them trapped in a jail cell. And you'd think they'd be like, get me out of here. No, they start complaining about their shoes. They're complaining about what... It's like... It's no difference other than they're not in his apartment. They're sitting in a little jail cell.
Well, they're sitting in a small room doing the same exact
Doing
things.
the
that they
same
do. The
thing?
same exact things.
I think that's brilliant.
Well, it's just going to say it never ends. That is their life. And
Yes.
it's just going to be... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
As
Yeah.
much as they hated each other and wanted to split up and not do it, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I loved it. Did you guys like it?
I loved everything
I
about
thought it was just
about the show.
They're just desserts. They got exactly what they deserved.
And I
at
think
that
it
time.
worked. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to it here. We got to decide on binge-worthy how we define it. So we have different tiers for it. I don't think we need to describe that. What do you guys think, Martha? Let's start with you. How do you rank
I
it?
say absolutely binge it, and you probably want to watch it in order, just in order, just to get the
flow of it.
flow and to see how they intended it to be.
Sure.
But you could easily watch. They're only 22 minutes long, so you could definitely
you can binge through.
a whole lot
Yeah.
and not get
I
tired
mean, it's 9
of it.
seasons, so you're not going to do it in a night, unless you're Kathleen.
Yes.
But you will get through a lot. If you say, 22 minutes, you can get through, a little less than 3 an hour.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get through a season. If you really want to sit there and binge, you can get through a season in a night, really. I mean, that takes a long time, but we've watched that much before.
It does.
And I say it's totally binge worthy because even our daughter, who she loves like Parks and Rec and
Even the name of this
Kimmy
show
and
is
things
based
like
on
that.
the Seinfeld.
But her watching it,
because
she
Spongeworthy
did.
was from that.
But even watching it, she did not. It was not dated at all. She was belly laughing. She was sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, he did not just do that,"
Yeah.
But it didn't. A lot of times when I
Yes.
have her watch stuff, she'll be like, "Seriously, they dressed like that," or "Seriously, they did that," or it was.
Right.
It was still so.
Well,
Current.
Last week or a couple weeks ago, we had Molly up here and we did pop culture countdown. No, we did a binge-worthy about Parks and Recreation. Yes, there's certain things, just like on Seinfeld, that are maybe not appropriate for her, so we skip over those. But I made the comment how she gets it. She watches this show. She gets what's actually funny about it. Mm-hmm. Same thing happened with Seinfeld. And I didn't know if that was going to be the case, but she is zeroing in on what is funny. And that tells you the power of a show like this.
Sure.
It's not like Dated where you watch it and go, wow, we thought that was funny at one point. Oh, no.
Right.
Oh, no. So, all right, so you give it a full-on binge-worthy,
Yes.
but you're suggesting doing it from the beginning. What do you say?
I think it's full on. I mean, I think it's watch it anytime you can get your hands on it. I do. I know I stop and watch. I won't sit in for the whole episode, but if I'm clicking through TV and it pops up, I'm watching it to see if it's one I want to see. So I would put it in a full go.
I've watched a couple episodes here and there, but it's been a while. So I really was a little nervous about what I would think, and I give it a full-on binge-worthy. The only caveat I have to it is I agree with Martha. I say if you're going to do it, start at the beginning and just go.
Just deal with the first episode or the first season.
Caveat is if you're the type that's going to bail, if you're like, it's just like Parks and Rec. The first season is the weakest part of it.
It's typical of most
You get
shows.
through the first season, and then it becomes like amazing overnight.
And first season is only 5 or 6 episodes,
Right.
so you can easily just put your head down and get through.
and the thing is, in that first season, even though
There's still really good stuff.
Yeah, there's stuff that's off.
It sets the base for Kramer and George and Elaine.
There are things in there that are just so funny.
Right.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
So I say full-on binge this thing.
Yeah.
Take the time. And if you got to do it, like I'll do a season and then I'll come back to it, make sure you go back to it because I'm telling you, we were skipping around and I mean, there wasn't a clunker.
No.
I
And
mean,
it was,
like,
and we knew we had limited time, and I just kept going. Oh my gosh! Oh no, we have to do that one. Oh no, we have to. Okay, forget
well, I want to
it.
watch
Okay,
it tomorrow
we gotta,
now because
yeah.
we got. I'm like, you know what? I want to sit down and binge through another couple hours of this because it was so great.
And Molly just kept saying, "Find more David Putty episodes because they are so hysterical." And so she's like, "Get more of those. Get more of those." And you know, it's excellent. Very, very good.
So for today, January 30th, 2016, this won't change. We almost don't need to mark this one.
No.
But we absolutely, all three of us deem it binge-worthy.
And
Full-on
every episode
binge-worthy.
is on Hulu. Every single episode.
With the recommendation of start at the beginning. Yeah, it's all on Hulu.
in order, so you can watch it in
Yeah.
order on Hulu.
So there we go. Audience, do you agree?
Yes.
Timeless classic.
Timeless
There it is.
classic.
All right,
Classic,
that's it.
classic.
Thank you for listening to Binge-worthy. We'll be back in a few minutes with Pop Culture Countdown. Thanks, Blue Box.
Yay.